South DaCola podcast. Not sure what episode this is, but
Finally,
I think it's 22, but I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll figure that out later. No guests this week. I think the local legislators or candidates are getting scared, so they probably don't want to do any interviews. They're kind of hiding out.
This is just a harmless, family-friendly show.
This is 22.
22, I guessed right. There we go. And so, of course, we're joined by my co-host, whose name we will not speak.
And I'm Dad. I have got no response anymore for that.
It's going to be a very short podcast. Let's try to wrap this up in about 8 minutes. No,
I think we can wrap it up sooner than that.
Okay, can we? And then Robert, of course, is running the show over there. So tonight, I think we're going to talk about our predictions for the election, just for the state, and then. But I wanted to start out with a couple little tidbits. Just one thing. Of course, Bruce for Citizens for Integrity and I, and then some of our media partners have requested the Sioux Falls School District to release documents concerning the election. Our argument is, well, it's twofold. One is the 85% passage is a record of the state, and for a $300 million tax increase, we found that to be a little high. But we also, on the other hand of that, if they really did hit the 85%, we find it kind of fascinating, and we kind of want to know how they did it. So I guess it's not the point of where, I don't know, there's a part of me that doubts they hit it, but it just seems a little extraordinary. What do you think? I mean, as someone who follows elections and stuff.
I can tell you how they hit it. By holding an election.
Yeah.
In September.
Yeah, by itself,
and not really.
And only the supporters.
So when you've got because they had a large number of absentee early voting that occurred, and so you've got, and I guess I don't know what the employee base size of the school district is.
It's a lot.
But it's a lot, and then you had a lot of early and absentee votes. So, like I had said previously, holding the election when they held it was only going to aid them in getting above that 60% threshold that the school district needed, because they could keep turnout pretty low. And I guess I didn't take a quick look at. I didn't even vote on it.
Well, I think it's kind of low when you consider. There's 100,000. It was 18,000 voters, so around 30. I can't remember the percentage, but when you think about it, there's 25,000 students in the Sioux Falls School District, something like that. And let's say they just all had single parents. I mean, not even the parents, showed up to vote. No,
and of course, the school district boundaries are a lot more voters than there are students.
Right. And the other thing, too, the reason we look at this precedent is we had two elections we wanted to compare this. We compared this to. The only one that's ever gotten really close in the Sioux Falls area was Snowgates. And that got around 70-some%. It was high. And that was a service that mostly everyone will get. It had no tax increase attached to it. They tried to use a scare tactic, the opponents, that there would be a tax increase. There's never been a tax increase for Snowgates. They simply just budget more money for them. And the other part of that is... but
where does that more money come from?
They just budget more money. Because the city's loaded. Give me a break.
Okay.
Everybody knows that.
All right.
And so then... the person who did the petition drive, Teresa Staley, told me she spent around $500 or $700 actually doing the petition drive, but she spent no money for get out the vote. Nothing, zilch. And that passed by that high. So it's kind of a little comparison there, but no tax increase. And then the other one that was close, you may have heard of this one, co-host. It was the one for the event center, and that got 58%. Did you hear about that one? And
that
does it sound familiar to you?
a little bit.
And so we kind of compared to that.
Like
but if it would have been a real bond election, it would never got the 60%. It wouldn't have passed. But that was a high, very popular vote. People wanted it, and that was a $180 million event center. So we found that kind of odd that a $300 million bond, at the end of the day, it'll be $300 million, that it would pass by that much. So that's why we're a little skeptical. Now, I said the election in Harrisburg on the 16th of this month will be a telltale sign. And the reason I say that is because that one will likely pass. And I bet you that one passes high. I'm giving it 75%. And one of the reasons is there's no tax increase attached to it. Nothing. They are not increasing taxes whatsoever. It's a $40 million bond for Harrisburg. No tax increase, but I've been told that their tax levy is a lot higher in the Harrisburg School District than in Sioux Falls. Quite a bit higher. So that's probably the reason why there's not a tax increase attached to it. They basically said they're levying enough money right now that they can pay the bond. That's what they said. So, like I said, I think that one will pass. I'm going to give it about 75%. But if that one hits a high mark, too, then I'll be a little bit more comfortable believing that the Sioux Falls one was. But anyway, they did respond to us asking for documents. They gave us about 100 pages of a bunch of gobbledygook, is what we like to call it, and didn't answer a lot of our questions. One of our main questions was when they took the tally sheets. We got the tally sheets, by the way, and those are very interesting. There's lots of stuff scribbled out and other numbers written in.
Yes.
Yeah, wait till I post them. You're going to get a kick out of this. And the oaths were signed but not printed. So in other words, people signed their names to the oaths but didn't print their name. So, chicken scratch was one of the counters, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So we found that really interesting. Now, there was a printed list of the name of the people who counted the votes, but that was not with the oaths. So we don't know, who did what. But our big question was, how did the vote tally get put into the system? In other words, it had to be put into a computer system so it could be uploaded to the county commissioner, or the county commission, the county auditor, so he could put it in a total vote to count those voters. And then it had to be loaded in so they could load it up on the web and show people the results. They had to manually do that because unlike a machine tabulated vote, that goes onto a flash drive that the county auditors cannot touch. That flash drive goes into their computer. It gets automatically uploaded to the Secretary of State, say, for instance, like the general in November 6th. So the county auditors can't touch that. The machine puts the numbers in, and they put the flash drive into their computer and load it up. They can't do anything with it. It's locked. It's securely locked. Where they had to have somebody manually put the tally sheet numbers into the system. Well, who was that? We don't know. My guess, it was the business manager, Todd Veek. That's my guess. The only reason I guessed that is because I saw him on a video with Brady Mallory. So we didn't get that answer. We wanted to know that answer. We didn't get that answer.
Well, Scott, it seems to me like you're disparaging school district employees.
Now let me finish. Here's another interesting sheet. Bev Chase, who ran the election. Okay, so she was the election official. She was also written down as running one of the polling places. And then she was also a tabulator. So not only did she run the election, she tabulated votes. That's kind of ethically questionable there.
An army of one.
What's that?
An army of one.
Yeah, an army of one there. And then we saw the contract for the software they used. But all that was a bunch of prices. It didn't really tell us how the software works. We didn't get an answer to that question. And here's one more thing before we leave this topic. They told us we could not view the ballots for 60 days. They gave no reason why. They said after 60 days, we could view the ballots. After 60 days. And we're like, what's this 60-day magical number? Like, why is it? And then they said once we could view the ballots, we would have to pay a district employee $5 for every 15 minutes. So $20 an hour to supervise us while we inspected our ballots, because they're our ballots. And if we wanted to copy the ballots, we could, but they would charge us 25 cents per ballot. So basically $4,500 to make a copy of the ballots. That's democracy at work right there, folks.
Take pictures of the ballots.
We could do that, yeah. Bruce has got a high-speed scanner. We could probably bring it down there.
Probably could.
Hook a generator up to it. And then count it while it was going through. Well, we wouldn't be able to count. We could scan them all. We could do that. That's a good idea. I like that idea. I'll mention that to Bruce. We'll do that. Anyway, so that's that's where...
disparage any school district employees.
Okay, Cynthia Mickelson.
Not going to have you do that.
Okay, Cynthia Mickelson.
Not going to do it.
She's a little bit cuter than you.
That's true.
Anyway, so on to predictions. Ding, 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 ding. I think you summed it up on the way over, even though I'm not a Republican. That they're pretty much going to win straight ticket.
Yeah,
I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to disagree with you in a few of those. And we'll get to the finer details. I actually believe, and I know you're going to start laughing, that Saylor has a chance. Because I really think that voters are kind of not looking at that position as Republican versus Democrat.
And I do disagree because...
and Jason Ravensborg looks like a Muppet. And shouldn't put his face on billboards.
I don't think any politician shouldn't probably put their face on billboards.
No.
Why is it that it's politicians and realtors...
Realtors are really big on
that put their faces... I don't understand it either. I don't understand. Like, the people whose face I want to see on a billboard, maybe a bus driver to make sure I know I'm getting on the right bus. Maybe a Lyft driver, make sure I'm getting in the right car, right? Okay.
But Ravensborg really shouldn't be using his face on anything.
No, well, Jason's a nice...
and he has no experience to be an attorney general. His opponent has mountains of experience.
I would disagree with that, and I would disagree with Randy. Randy's got Saylor. Probably his first name is Randy, right?
Yeah, and it's pronounced Saylor.
Saylor, okay, so Sailor Moon. Well, probably has got a better chance than any recent Democrat running for Attorney General. But much like...
Well, so does Billy and so does Bjorkman. But
much like well, we'll get to Bjorkman in a minute. Much like the gubernatorial race, the best chance still isn't good enough. Even if we just break it down into the bases voting for each other, just those who are registered Republicans.
Well, we know there's 97,000 more registered Republicans.
He starts off with a 100,000 vote deficit right off the bat.
And as a lifelong old Democrat said to me, that independents, they kind of cross themselves out. He says, in South Dakota, like half the independents vote Republican and half vote Democrat. Right. So they kind of cancel each other's votes out.
Right. So
you can't really count the independents.
Right.
I think in the Saylor Ravage race,
it's pronounced Ravensburg. I'm being respectful.
Ravensburg? Why is it spelled Ravensburg?
I don't know.
I feel sorry for the media if he does become Attorney General, because that's going to be spelling nightmare.
Well, he ran for U.S. Senate a couple of years ago, so they should still have that on file. But
that's the only big race, statewide race that I think has a chance.
I'll say this. I think that the AG's race, I think the Democrat does probably better than anybody else going statewide.
I think I give Billy more. I give Saylor the win. And I think Billy's going to get close.
The other thing that you've got to consider is, and I have no idea how much money Saylor or Ravensburg have raised. I didn't look at...
I think Saylor's been doing pretty good.
Their most recent... Well, we don't know because we don't have robust reporting periods. So we're not going to know until a week out, on that. And So the other thing we've got to remember is
Jason will have more money, no doubt. I agree with you on that.
That Roundsburg has got the backing of the Republican Party, which is flush with cash.
There's a lot of them that don't support him, though.
Flush with organizational expertise, and the Democrats. I mean, keep in mind, he had to go and get re-endorsed by his party because the Democrat Party in the state is so disorganized.
Yeah, well, that wasn't really Saylor's fault.
So I'm not saying it's, but
he did get an endorsement.
It could be a little bit his fault for not calling up the chair and saying, "Hey, if you need help filing the stuff, let us know. Did you get the stuff filed? Did you get the stuff filed? No, but he didn't do it. He didn't do it.
Well,
Sutton could have done the same thing, saved them from a lot of embarrassment.
Yeah,
and just sort of plays into the hands that the Democrats.
Well, what about Gnome's running mate? What about Gnome's running mate and his $200 fine? Isn't that a flub?
That's
really stupid in my opinion.
I agree. If they were beyond the filing, deadline,
so there's no difference in that. I look at those two incidents.
There's a little bit difference. There's a little bit of difference in it.
Democrats didn't have to pay a fine.
No, the Democrats didn't have to pay a fine, but they had to go through and reorganize their convention and throw everything up in the air. I think Republicans are a little bit more motivated to vote in this election. Saylor is not going to. He's not going to win.
Oh, I think he is. I think he's got a good chance.
He's got a.
I think Billy's going to hit 45, if that.
I think Billy gets. And when was the last time we had a Democrat run for governor that even hit 40?
They did a story about that.
I know. It's been like
Abbott.
20... Abbott.
Yep.
So it's been like 25 years.
Yeah.
26 years, something like that.
Yeah, so I think Billy will do well against her, but
I think he'll get close to 40.
Yeah.
I don't think he...
Because I think right now, 40. All the polling stuff that's coming out is I like to say, propaganda.
Well, it's not real. I mean, I should say, but I mean,
and Bjorkman, I gave a chance to, but I really think that Dusty's gonna be the big winner.
Let's finish the conversation on the polling in the governor's race for a second. I think the Argus Leader has done pretty good in not reporting on it because the AP does have standards that if you get a poll or information from somebody, don't report it unless they give you everything, including the crosstabs, so that you can do a full analysis of it. And just don't take the standard memo from the pollster that the person is paying.
Works for Pat Powers. He just takes the press releases and posts them.
Pat Powers is a blogger. I mean, I know it's a little annoying.
Yeah,
to read. I mean, you if you forget what day it is over the weekend, you can always tell when it's Sundays because he's posting up all the press releases from Thew, Rounds, and Dugard in their weekly columns. But I agree with you. I don't think that the polling in the governor's race, since there is no independent public polling for us to sort of use as a barometer, then that doesn't exist. So we have no idea where that race stands. We've got to go again. He starts off with a 100,000 vote deficit with independents crossing each other out.
And I usually early vote, and I haven't voted in that one yet.
In Cook political reports, calling South Dakota a toss-up is well, it's also not real. It's fake. It's like they didn't do any sort of historical analysis about it's been 40 plus years.
Well, you never know. The school bond passed by 85%. I mean, you never know. There might be some big upset. But yeah, I still don't. And then I thought Bjorkman had a pretty good chance, and then I thought, well, maybe he'll probably lose, but not by much. And I actually think Dusty's going to be the big winner of the night. I think he's going to win by a large margin.
He's going to probably win by the largest margin.
Probably 65, 70%.
I would agree with that. Bjorkman has got a new set of ads out. I've seen him on Facebook. Every time I watch him, I feel like the next words out of his mouth will be like, and that's why we got ourselves a Medicare Advantage plan to help cover the costs. And Johnson doesn't have the best ads either, but Bjorkman's are so dry, and they feel like there would be an ad for some sort of drug discount plan that you would see on Fox News during the day.
And back to Billy a little bit. We don't need to talk about Bjorkman and Dusty. We already kind of know where that's going to go. But back to Billy. I haven't voted yet. I usually vote early, and I will. But I don't think I'm going to vote for either one in the governor's race. The reason I'm going to tell you, I can't stand Noam, so there's no way she was going to get a vote. But Billy...
Is it because you're anti-woman?
No.
It's because you're anti-woman.
I hate women.
Why do I hate women? No. Billy, this Republican light bullshit pisses me off. If you're a Democrat and you're running as a Democrat, run as a fucking Democrat.
Because that's working so well.
Yeah. They haven't. They haven't been doing it. They've been doing this Republican light strategy, and that has not worked. So for some reason, they keep doing it over and over and over, and I'm finally going to pull my hair out and go, when are you going to wake the fuck up and realize that running as Republican light, because the Democrats have great core issues, helping the working families, affordable health care, open government. I mean, I could go on and on and on about all the great things they have. Go out there and promote that stuff. That's what your party's about. And they go, oh, I'm Republican light. Well, Billy, why didn't you just run as a Republican then? Why did you even bother running as a Democrat?
That's a very good point. I don't know why.
And that's probably why I'm not going to vote for either one. And
so I would.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Were you going to say anything? Oh, okay. I would say that our elections have gotten, even locally, have gotten nationalized to a degree, where people are really digging their heels in with their party affiliation. The party affiliation sort of become the super identifier of a person.
Which is so stupid.
Well, I 100% agree with you on that. I often say y'all need to get back to church.
Yeah.
That's what everybody in the parties do.
And that's what I like about nonpartisan city election is that you really got to vote for the person you believe in.
And they're trying to creep that shit even into the nonpartisan election.
I know.
Which drives me just up the wall.
Yeah, and it's like, I just, but...
And I'm all for a partisan election, but we, as a people, maybe not be so partisan. Because you say Billy should run as a Democrat. Be the Democrat.
And if you lose, you lose. But you lose fighting. You lose fighting the right game.
He loses with a higher margin by running as a Democrat in the state.
Yeah.
I mean, if he ran as a Democrat in the state, he might do even worse than Rick Weiland. Or Susie Wismer and Susie Blake.
But one thing I want to say about Dusty is his latest commercial where he talks about his welfare. He wants to do all this welfare reform. And the little shit got welfare when he was growing up. Well, his parents did. And then his company he works for, Vantage Point, I think is the name of the company in Mitchell, they got a huge tiff. And it's like, hey, Dusty, you're the king of welfare. But it's like, I made the argument, it's like Leslie Unruh had an abortion when she was younger, but she was able to have that right to have an abortion because it's legal. But she doesn't want anybody else to have that.
Oh, we
right.
don't need to get into
And that's like that. I know I don't want to talk about abortion, but it's the same way with Dusty. It's like it was okay that I took welfare as a kid. It was okay that the company I worked for took a TIF, which is a huge tax rebate. But I don't want anybody else to have this unless they work for it.
I haven't looked closely enough at his plan.
Anyway, that's what I mentioned about him.
Because like you said, he's gonna get 60+% of the vote. I think that.
And he's been. This is the one thing I'll say about Dusty. He's positive. He has done a positive campaign. I don't agree with the crap he's saying, but he's positive. You have to agree with me. When every time you see Dusty talk or whatever, he is positive. He does not go down that rabbit hole of getting mad, or he's got mad at Lally a couple times on his show, but he finds a way to twist it to be positive. You gotta give Dusty credit for
absolutely.
that.
He's a happy campaigner. He's a positive, happy guy. He's generally got a cheery outlook on life, and it's going to do him well.
He wants to change the Social Security age to 70, and I want to. That's not.
He's going to be a fantastic congressman, and we don't need to get into debates about changing Social Security or not, or how do we. how do we fix an insolvent program that's been insolvent for a very long time?
It's insolvent because the Republicans have been robbing it for years.
The Congress as a whole, both parties,
I was going to say, it
have
took
been
both of them
robbing,
coming together as assholes to
Yes.
destroy that program.
bipartisanship at its best
Absolutely.
and worst.
Absolutely.
But let's move on from there because we're already kind of the other race that I think is a local race.
Well, hold
District
on.
9.
We haven't yet talked about the auditor, the treasurer, the secretary of state, and perhaps the most important, most important office in all of South Dakota state government,
school and public lands.
Commissioner of School and Public Lands,
whatever that is. We all know
controls
how
everything. Controls all the land.
We already know how that's going to go. It's all going to be Republicans. Barnett's already been there. I mean, he's going to get Secretary of State very easily.
Yeah.
Tom Cool's the Democratic candidate.
Who?
Yeah.
They've actually got
Tom.
That's right, because the Democrats'
Tom
big
has
thing this
never
year is
won.
they finally have candidates for every
No
every
offense,
slate.
Tom. I don't know if you listen to my podcast or not, but
He doesn't.
And Tom's part of Democratic Forum. Tom has never won a legislative race, like a state legislative race. So I have no idea why they thought it was a good idea.
I don't think Barnett has either.
And then Aaron Mattson is the communications manager for the Democratic Party, and they're having him run as auditor, I believe. I don't know. Anyway, those races are really they've shoved the Democratic Party just shoved people in their seats
so that they could write a press release saying,
right.
For the first time in years, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a full slate.
Yeah. And so we don't need to worry about this. But the one race I think locally, District 9, Michael Saba is going to, and you can pronounce it either way. He told me the other day. You could say Saba. Saba is.
I thought it was going to be Mikhail or Michael.
No. He ran against Michael Clark the first time around, and then Michael Clark beat him, and everyone was kind of puzzled by that because Michael Saba's got all this world experience, and But Dana Ferguson put out a story calling him a Muslim. Didn't bother calling and asking.
Jesus.
Didn't bother calling and asking Michael Saba if he really was a Muslim. He's a lifelong Catholic, and she didn't call him and actually ask him. She just took her source, who was some neocons, told her that he was a Muslim. She printed it. She did a correction, but once those.
But nobody reads corrections.
Nobody reads corrections.
Nobody reads corrections at all.
And I actually had told Michael at the time that he should have sued the Argus for libel. Misidentifying someone. But let me finish this.
Okay.
Would that be any different than? I don't want to use this comparison, but let's say you're a refugee. What if you're let's say you were an American citizen, but American citizen your whole life was born here. Let's say your parents were born here, and a reporter said that you were a refugee from Sudan. I mean, wouldn't you go? Well, I'm not a refugee from Sudan, And I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with religion. If you're religious. Someone calling you a Muslim when you're a Christian or Catholic, it's kind of, and so what happened was Michael Saba lost. Well, since that happened, Mr. Clark, the incumbent, decided that, nobody knows what he was talking about, really, that it was okay to discriminate against black people who buy wedding cakes. I can't really remember, and you got to hear this. So the lady who runs the South Dakota NAACP felt bad for him. She did. And, being that kind of person, she reached out to Michael Clark. I don't know if I've told this story yet. She reached out to Michael Clark because she thought maybe he just don't get it, and which he doesn't. And so she met with him and tried to explain to him why what he said was wrong and how his apology really wasn't a very good apology.
Oh, boy.
And she came to the conclusion, I don't know how long she sat with him, just the two of them, hour or two, maybe an hour, and had some coffee with him or whatever. She basically told people after the meeting, no, he really don't get it. Like it's like, whew. So whether you believe, and here's my thing. Ignorance is not an excuse to be racist. I don't care. It just isn't. A man in his 50s should know that it's not okay to discriminate against people of color, whether they're like what, And he tries to twist it like, well, I meant it had to do with cakes. No, it didn't have to do with cakes, Michael. It had to do with discriminating against black people. that's illegal. And as a person who takes an oath of office on the Constitution or whatever to abide the laws, we can't have someone like that. So if I don't think Michael's going to lose, but if he does lose, it'll be astonishing.
Well,
I mean, it really will.
Certainly, I agree with you. And
on top of that, even if it never happened, Michael Saba is 100,000 million times more qualified than Michael Clark.
you could have just said 100%. Maybe that's why you don't understand how
Yeah.
85%, because you get. I'm just kidding. I agree with you. If Clark loses,
He'll lose.
Certainly because he did not do himself any favors by taking to Facebook and weighing in on issues that he ought not be weighing in on. The thing, though, is that Saba should really be getting that out there, making that a big...
He has done a couple mailings, and...
specifically on this, and I would just...
His last mailing, he got two amazing endorsements that I think really helped him. He got an endorsement from Tom Dempster, who used to be the District 9 legislator. He was a Republican, and then he had to run as independent. Remember, he had the little screw up with his turning in his...
Oh, yeah.
So he ran as an independent, even though he's always caucused with the Republicans. And Tom's a very popular Republican here in town. And then his other endorsement on the same mailer was from Dr. Kopeska, who used to run Avera and now is the president of the chamber. He endorsed him. So those are two really good endorsements.
Those are huge endorsements. And correct me if my history is wrong here. District 9
is Hartford and Sioux Falls.
Well, but legislatively, one of the seats was the Hoxie, the Paula Hoxie, right? Is that the right district?
It might have been, but no. Deb Peters is
Deb
out
Peters,
there. She'll be reelected.
Okay, but yeah, she's in the Senate, though, but in the House.
In fact, you're sitting in District 9 right now.
Oh.
Yeah, technically we are. Yeah.
No, I know we are, because every time I look up, I think it's all my reps and everything all live out in freaking Hartford.
Yeah.
So
Deb lives out there. Michael lives out there. Clark lives out there. Yeah.
Well, I had always thought, because this north end of Sioux Falls, Paula Hawks was.
She might have been 9.
Which district was she in? Because
she ran against Deb.
I thought she was one further south of here, but
no,
she lived in Hartford. I know that.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Then yeah, she's District 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
anyway, I'm giving him that one.
Of putting a Democrat in recent history. And it sticks out in my mind because I always wanted the thing with the Democrat Party in South Dakota is when they're looking for candidates,
Democratic Party,
they go to their legislative slate and say, who wants to run statewide this year, and let's give up another seat in the legislature to a Republican.
Oh, it's so stupid,
right?
Stupid.
So Hawks runs for
Congress.
for Congress a couple of years ago. Just
she got $90 haircuts.
Yeah, and that haircuts never help.
No.
And you open up the seats to Republicans.
It's so stupid because she was very popular. Yeah.
Because who it was? Hickey was up there too.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh God.
No, was he? Was Hick? I don't know. Anyway, it was a split district. The House district was split.
Pastor Doohickey, I call him.
And so Saba.
You can see it.
Michael
say
S.
it either way.
Michael S.
Yeah.
has got a chance to beat Michael C.
And then,
but who else is because who are the? But
and I think the Democrats are going to pick up some other seats in the state. I do.
Doubtful of that.
No, I think they'll come out more after the midterms than they had last year.
Name.
I'm going to name. There's some that are. There's some ones that are close.
One. I'll cede that Saba could go that way.
I could say that let's go in our district. We both live in 13, the magical 13.
Best district.
That used to be very largely Democratic until it was gerrymandered the shit, and they decided to take this little stem of it and shoot it out past 57th Street,
redistricting,
so that they could get all these Republicans. So
anyway, go on.
I really like Kelly Sullivan. I hope she wins. I'm voting for her. Try to get her as a guest, but she's running against
is-
Rolfing and Sue Peterson. Sue Peterson will be reelected. Rolfing's got an R behind his name. Everyone feels sorry for him about his kid dying in the war. That's what everybody says to me. It's not me. That's not my opinion. That's what people always say to me. And he milks it for all it's worth, and you know,
But
he'll get elected.
And within Sioux Falls,
He didn't do shit on the city council
but he's got.
except raise fees and taxes every chance he
was
had.
he at large or was he? He wasn't. He was at large, right?
Rolfing?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was. He was.
Was he at large?
Yep.
Okay, so he's
He's well known.
well known.
Yeah.
And certainly would.
And he's got an R behind his name, and he'll win.
in District 13.
But the thing I joked about is,
so
he's
that
got
district's not going.
he's got a house in a very sunny state. He's got another house in another state. So I laughed. I said, "Did anyone tell Rex that the session is in the middle of winter in Pierre? I don't think he knows that, and that you have to show up at least 75% of the time."
Yeah. Yeah.
So that might change. He might drop out after he hears this.
And to my knowledge, he's not the pilot where he can take off after caucus.
He
on
doesn't
Friday,
fly.
After Friday.
Did you know this little secret about him?
I know no secrets about Rex.
No, he does not fly.
Okay.
So he has got a house, I believe, in Florida, or a rental something, and he drives there.
But
He never flies.
does he not fly or just doesn't fly there? Cause
I don't know if he's scared to fly
Or
or
is it
just
just want a
likes to
car there?
drive. As somebody said to me,
He have family on the way.
well, he's he's just to be an insurance salesman, so he probably, when you're first starting out in insurance sales, you got to do a lot of windshield time. Okay, you do. That's how you build your clientele. And somebody said to me that that's why he probably drives. He likes it. He's used to it. That's how he's traveled his whole life. You know,
he wants a car down there.
Well, you ever seen his car?
No.
He's got a special edition Crown Vic with a leather or fake leather vinyl top on it.
It's not the kind of car I pictured him driving.
Anyway, so
they may pick up one, but I don't think they're going to gain.
I do.
They're not-
I'm going to predict. Let's just do our prediction. You don't think they are? I believe that the Democrats are going to have
But if Saba gets that,
going to have about 2 to 3 more seats than they did last year.
the Sutton seat.
The
Sutton seat will go Republican.
Yeah.
So it's a wash.
So all there's left is, and then we can wrap this crap up. The measures. Now I'm voting no on everything except for W, and I really believe W will pass because I think people are really pissed off about the legislature overturning IM-22.
Not pissed it off enough to vote for different people for the legislature.
Right? No, but enough to pass it.
I don't think the voters are equating the two.
Well, they haven't done enough advertising to help them to equate the two.
No,
that's kind of bothered me.
Well, and they haven't reintroduced, to my knowledge. Now I don't watch traditional television. I use a different.
And I'm voting,
service,
I'm voting against 20.
But hold on, let's stick on W. I have not seen any of what I would say were quite effective. The Golden Watch ads, the corruption ads that the IM-22 campaign ran. I've not seen any of that coming from W.
Yeah, I've been kind of disappointed in the way they've been marketing it because I wonder if they just think it's going to pass just because, and it's
I think it's going to fail because I feel like the people backing it have been half-hearted. And
that's what I'm saying. They're not really marketing it very well.
All I've seen is I've seen a lot of stuff
all I've seen is vote yes on W. That's all I've seen.
Oh, see, all I've seen is vote no on W.
Yeah,
a ton of it.
W is
but
wrong.
all I've seen is vote yes on W. But
I also think though that the people, I think after they voted for 22 and after all of the bad stuff,
but this time it can't be overturned.
I know, but after all of the bad stuff came out about 22 and the headache that it was probably going to cause,
that all came from Republican legislators. It never came from any. I'm going to argue on this. The only bad rhetoric was from the legislators, and that was it. The public never said a damn word about it being a headache unconstitutional. That was all a bunch of bullshit that was smoked up from the Republican legislators.
Yeah, I'm with Scott on this one.
That was all them. Nobody from the public or media said it was bad.
It worked, though.
Well, they can do whatever they want. They put an emergency clause in and overturned it.
I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, but
I was not opposed to them.
And all of the stuff that came out between Election Day and the start of session about, like, okay,
we're hoodwinked. That was the governor and Republican legislators.
I get it. I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm saying the rhetoric worked. And I think
it didn't need to work or not. They just voted it out.
I know, but I think it's changed.
We had no say in the matter.
But I think it's changed enough. The perception of the measure has changed in enough people's mind where I don't think that it's going to.
I didn't have a problem with the South Dakota Supreme Court looking at it and saying, but they didn't allow that. That's what really pissed off a lot of people. It's like it should have went to the Supreme Court. It should have been allowed to look at it and say this is because not all of it. Was there some stuff in it that might have been unconstitutional? Oh, definitely. But not all of it. And they said no, we're going to get rid of the whole fucking thing. I
agree
because they were hoodwinked. You know.
I agree, and I didn't care for the governor's rhetoric by.
They all were saying
he insulted the voters.
He didn't care.
I know he was.
He's reelected, so what does he give a shit? But here and then, I am 25. The reason I'm voting against that is I'm all for funding vocation. I don't like using syntaxes to fund education. I think it's disgusting. If we're gonna raise taxes on tobacco, great. What should it go towards? It should go towards getting people to quit smoking. Or stop using tobacco. That's what the money should.
Don't kill the gold goose.
Yeah. And the other problem with the sin tax is they're not reliable. Okay,
No.
You know, more people quit smoking, the less money that's going to be coming in. I have said that the industries, the general contractors in the healthcare industry, who use most of the tech school people, nursing, medical, carpentry, electricians, plumbings. They should either fund a scholarship program. That would probably be the better route because then they wouldn't have to. Or they should pay a special tax that goes towards the vocational schools. That's how it should be funded. They're the ones benefiting from this.
So I don't know why the legislature hasn't taken a look at. I mean, we look at everything else and find ways to, partner. And cap tuition rates.
Yeah.
I don't know why they haven't taken a look and say, okay, what's it going to cost us to get our tuition rates competitive with the region, because they're the highest in the region, for tech schools.
I actually believe
so I agree with you. I mean, I want to see fewer people smoking, but this is not the approach, I think, to fund tech schools.
No, it's stupid.
Like you said, it's a tax with a diminishing return.
And it's a sin tax.
Well, yeah.
To fund education.
Yeah, but more so than that, it's a tax with a diminishing return, because the more you increase the cost, the fewer people are going to do it. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, the trends on smoking have been declining really anyway.
They have been declining in South Dakota, which is good. How are you going to vote on the rest of them? I vote no on everything else. I read them all over, and I can't remember them all, but I read them.
Well, I've got a list here. So we talked about tobacco, I talked about W. We've got
I think there's 3 other or 2 others.
Constitutional Amendment X, which I think will pass. It is a 55% supermajority requirement of constitutional amendments.
I don't think it'll pass.
The funny part is, I think it'll pass, but I think it'll pass with less than 55%. Right? So I think I think it'll pass.
The irony in that, right?
It'll pass at 50%.
I think Dargis wrote a story about that.
It'll pass at 50% plus 1.
I don't think it'll pass. I don't think it'll pass because I think people like. Yeah.
No, I think after the Marcy's Law stuff, I think people are getting a little bit tired of the.
We love the petition and initiative process in South Dakota. I don't think people get tired.
No,
of it.
I think a lot of voters are tired of out-of-state interests coming in and messing with things that are in the Constitution. To put things in the Constitution...
They've already said that's unconstitutional.
That should put stuff... No, because you can fund it. An out-of-state interest...
It's freedom of speech.
I'm not saying...
The Supreme Court has already said that money is freedom of speech.
I'm not saying that I have got an opinion on that. We'll get to that. And that's Initiative Measure 24. We'll get to that in a minute. But what I'm saying is on this is I think that people are tired of political actors coming from out of state and messing with our laws, messing with our Constitution.
But Christine Ohm takes money from people out of state. John Thune takes money from people out of state.
We will get to 24.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I think that X will pass because I think people are tired of...
I don't think so.
No, I think people are getting pretty tired of it, quite frankly.
Legislators are getting tired of it. People are not tired of it.
It's just like insiders are tired of it, but everyone else I talked about in the country...
The legislature doesn't like it.
It's like...
No, the legislature clearly doesn't like it. There's an end run around them. But I think that people
That's why they don't like it.
People are getting pretty weary of all of the issues. And the difference between when people are coming in and saying, we want a constitutional amendment on this one, it's something that is much better putting into statute because it's a lot more nimble and you can tweak it a little bit more than that. Like
you could tweak it
with
the legislature does that. We pass all these laws in November, and then in January they go, "Oh, they were hoodwinked. They're stupid. They're dumb. We're going to change this."
Part of the issue with W is why it shouldn't be in there is, if you find that this accountability board isn't
which is
working,
a fantastic idea.
Which
how could it not work?
I don't have an opinion on it, but I'm just saying that if you find out that the way it's structured within this measure isn't really working, right? It's not working the way it should be. It's not working the way it's intended to work.
The whole purpose of having an accountability board is so that the legislators can't mess with it.
I know. Listen to me.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not saying that the accountability board is bad. I'm just saying if you get it and it's not working the way it should be,
then they fix it themselves.
But they can't because you would have to have a statewide vote to amend the Constitution to fix it.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
it keeps the legislators. That's the whole point of having it.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's a lot less nimble than it could be. Some of these things just deserve to be in state statute and not in...
Well, we're going to say none of it works because we've never done this before. So there's going to be a lot of growing pains with the whole thing, and everyone's going to go. And you know who's going to be complaining the most?
The Secretary of State's office.
The legislators are going to be complaining because now they're going to be watched, and now they're going to have to watch their contributions and watch it. They're the only ones that are going to piss and moan about it, just like they did about IM-22.
No, I think it. I think it'll.
And I could care less if they want to complain about it.
Well, no, and I don't care if the legislature complains or doesn't complain.
Yeah.
But it's some of the other folks, around the state that could be impacted that are not explicitly listed in here. But then you've got a judge that says, "Oh, well, no, that technically counts. You can't do that because of this amendment. You can't go through and change it and exempt." A 17-year-old who's working.
Now, I haven't read the fine details of it,
for Parks and Rec, and then so there are just a lot of trouble and a lot of issues in there. Here's my question. We've discussed.
Here's my question, though.
Okay.
I have one question about this. I'm asking you a question. I'm not making a statement here.
Okay, because that's a rare.
Isn't there though? And I haven't read the fine details of the measure. I've read quite a bit of it. But isn't there a governing body that can make rule changes within this? I would think there would be.
I don't know if they're a rule changing body or if they just hear complaints.
I would think that they would have a governing body where they could change rules.
And the other thing,
if there's problems, then would you make any sense not to have someone who can't change? The
other thing though, on this is and before you interrupt, just hear me out on it, is the campaign finance limits. You can go with the philosophical approach that, that's the freedom of speech and, money is speech and stuff. And so this constitutional amendment could actually be unconstitutional at a federal level. But the other thing is, okay, what if we find that those limits are too high or there are too many workarounds to the limits? In order to change that again...
That's just the dollar amount, though.
I know, but that's part of it. Is we want the big money out of politics in South Dakota. That's part of their push for it. Their big push for it isn't an accountability board to watch the legislature. If that were the case, that would be set up completely.
There'd be a lot of them in jail, but
well, perhaps that would be set up completely different than this, and you wouldn't have the government appointing themselves to be their own watchdog.
Right.
So, but the campaign finance limits, if we decide as a state that those limits are too low or too high, either way, and again, I don't have an opinion on it, really. I mean, I do, but that doesn't matter at this point. In order to change it, you got to go through and do another big statewide vote to amend the Constitution. People are going to get upset and stuff, and people are a little bit...
The people who are upset enough to do it, then they'll go do it.
Yeah, so, okay.
So that's how I look at that. As for the money, out-of-state money, here's what I'll say about this.
Okay,
and the reason why I think it won't pass.
That's Initiative Measure 24.
Okay, and this is why I think it won't pass. South Dakotans are cheap. They don't like giving money to political campaigns, and I really believe they don't have an issue with out-of-state money coming in, and the reason I say that is because then they don't have to fund these campaigns. So I think that there are some things that come from out of state, like Marcy's law. I didn't agree with it, but the voters agreed with it, and they were probably like, yeah, that came from out of state. We agree with that. It's just because it didn't come from within the state or the money didn't come from within the state doesn't mean South Dakotans don't think it's a good idea. So, and like I said, it's a constitutional issue. They've already said that they think it'll be challenged if it passes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So why even go there?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I am not a fan of IM-24 because what it...
And like I said before, Nome, Thune, they all get money from out of state.
No, I know.
And why is it okay for the politicians to get money?
So 24, in my opinion, is a little bit of misdirected anger. I think that the proponents of IM-24 are really upset not about the funding.
No, they're upset about the ideas coming from out of state.
They're upset about the idea.
Yeah, no, they are.
No,
good luck.
Yeah,
with that.
Well, no, but they are. They are upset about taking this sort of prepackaged
that they try in different states.
That they're trying in different states, writing out a $500,000 check to some political consultant, and saying, circulate it, okay, without it changing from state to state, or even taking
initiative in a box,
or even going to the legislature first to talk about the idea, not changing it from state to state, not making it something that would work in South Dakota. I think that's where people are getting upset. They're upset about, the coastal elites, mostly California, coming in with these initiatives in a box and plopping them down. They can watch them go across the country.
They do, and you're right.
They do.
They bounce around.
I know, and people are upset about that. I don't think people are upset about. I don't think people care where the money comes from. The other issue with IM-24.
Of course they don't. They take money. We've taken billions from Denny Sanford, and he made all his money robbing poor
country.
people. Yeah.
But I agree with you. It's unconstitutional. There was huge constitutional issues on freedom of speech with it. It's interesting that they are only applying 24 to ballot question committees and not to members of the legislature.
Yeah, even if it passes,
it won't hold up. And the other issue with it too is, they'll say, well, you have to have a 4-year presence here. Oh, a 4-year presence. Oh, okay. What does that mean, right? Let's say that, South Dakota, somebody gets a wild hair up their ass and decides to put an initiative measure that we don't want bullet trains, or whatever, the hyperpods, or I don't know, whatever Musk is.
Hyperloop.
Yeah, whatever it is. We don't like that because it's Elon Musk, and we don't like
science is witchcraft.
Right, something. Madness. Magnets! We don't like magnets, right? So they don't like magnets. Okay,
They like to bring up science all the time when it comes to abortion.
But we're not talking about that. But this measure would prevent Hyperloop from coming in and defending itself. If it were to pass, because they don't have a presence here.
Yeah.
It prohibits people from coming in and defending themselves. People who don't want a political fight in the state at all, and having one forced upon them, and then when they come to defend their industry, defend their business, or defend their way of life, they say, "Well, hold on now. we may have let a bunch of your neighbors from out of state put this thing on the ballot, but by God, we're not going to let you out-of-staters come in and defend the thing that your neighbors from out of state put on here."
Yeah.
I think that a much better approach, or one to consider, is that in order to circulate a petition,
You should have a state sponsor.
well, you have to have a state sponsor already.
Yeah.
But in order to circulate a petition, you already have to be a South Dakota resident.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we could put a residency requirement that you've got to be a resident for 180 days or something.
Yeah.
Prior to you being able to carry the petition clipboard, because right now,
Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised that's not
Well, there was
Right.
a state legislator that proved you don't even need to live in South Dakota to be in the state legislature.
This is true.
yeah, I mean that's probably true.
Oh, Gerald. Oh, Gerald. Oh.
Well, I mean those issues.
Even though she was living in a state that's very similar to ours.
But it where were we going? on this?
Okay. I wanted
So 24 is full of holes, and it's completely.
Is there any more
It's
after 24?
Yeah, there's one more
Yeah,
constitutional.
there's a
amendment.
weird one, and I read that one.
24, 25, W, X,
Yeah.
and then
And
Z,
Z.
is
What is Z?
single subject constitutional amendments.
Which I think will pass because we've already got single subject, bill single subject initiated measures.
I think it's going to confuse people, and most of the time when people are confused, they vote no.
Okay, so that one might.
I
go down.
get it, and I'm against it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because lawmakers can pass laws that have all kinds of things in it.
They've got their single subject bills.
Say in South Dakota, they're single subject.
Oh, are
They're
they?
single subject bills. So, I mean,
But at the federal level, yeah, they're just like, ugh, they're like a
yeah.
chimera thing.
I think what you're thinking of is like the placeholder bills that you can file and they're blank and you can amend it to insert your stuff after the deadlines, which I think is they shouldn't do that really probably either.
Okay,
so I think
you think it's going to pass?
well, I think well, I'll run down. I think 24 is going to fail. I don't think 24 passes.
No, so what does that mean?
That's the ban on out-of-state contributions. I haven't heard anything really from
I think it'll fail too. I'm agree with you on that.
from anybody, and
Agree.
the coalitions around it, chamber retailers, things like that, are pretty large and powerful, and people listen to them.
25 is going to fail.
I think 25 will fail. I think people do see that as a diminishing return.
I think it'll be close.
I think it'll be close.
And I think 25.
I think it'll be close. But I think it will
people
fail.
on 25 have been doing a very, very good job of
They've been
getting their
doing a
message
very,
out
very
there
good job.
that this is going into the general fund, which is true, and we have no idea if it's and Mickelson, who proposed this, his defense on this has been very milquetoast. I mean, he's been it's just not true. He's been on the news a couple of past days.
That's not true.
I'm like, you're kind of getting drowned out there, buddy. So that's gonna fail.
Yeah, I think W will fail.
I think it'll pass,
I think W fails.
but it's gonna be close.
It'll be close.
a close one.
It'll be close. Like I am 22.
It'd be like 85% passage.
That's so close. Recount territory according to you.
Well, I heard they're going to hire Bev Chase to be the Secretary of State for the night of the mid.
But I mean, let's just be clear. Something passes.
Everything passes by 85% with Bev Chase.
Something passing with 85% in your world is recount territory. You want to recount at 85%. I'm not convinced.
Yeah.
I think.
I know.
I think it's close. I think it'll be as close as IM22 was, which was about a point or half a point or something.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like basically a 50-50 thing. I think X passes with less than 55%.
I don't think it's going to pass.
Oh, not X. Yeah, X. I think X passes with less than 55% of the vote because I do think. I mean, if you've got to have a 60% majority to raise a tax, why not have a 55% majority to change the Constitution? It has to be an overwhelming majority of the supermajority of the people who want to amend the Constitution. I think it's a good
that's
thing.
the only one I disagree with you on. I think that one will fail.
And I think Z will pass.
And Z
I
is
think it'll pass.
That's the single subject rule for
Yeah,
constitutional amendments.
And then we're both agreed. No, we both agreed. Dusty.
Yep. We probably
Sailor were kind of on the fence, both of us on that one.
I'm not on the fence.
You just think Jason's going to win.
Ronsberg
I think
is going to
Sailor's
win.
got a chance.
He's got Sailor.
Oh, Sailor got an endorsement, and I'll get to that. I forgot to bring this up. This is interesting.
Go ahead.
So he got an endorsement, I think, yesterday. But in some weird way, number one, you're not sure if it's an endorsement you want. If you are a liberal Democrat, yeah, it's an endorsement you want. If you're not a liberal Democrat, it's probably not an endorsement you want. But he didn't get the endorsement. I'm going to just say this. He didn't get the endorsement because he's a liberal Democrat. He got the endorsement by default. Did you hear about this?
No.
The ACLU of South Dakota endorsed Sailor. They talked about how great he is and blah, blah, blah. But did you know that the ACLU sent a questionnaire to Sailor and Jason Rushmore?
Your last name's Arisman is impossible to spell.
Okay. Or you can at least pronounce it. Anyway, Jason didn't fill it out. So Jason never mailed it. The South Dakota ACLU sent you a questionnaire. Wouldn't you have filled it out, even if you're a Republican?
A word of advice to all candidates: fill out the surveys.
So he didn't fill it out. Didn't mail it in. So basically, Sailor won by default on that one.
Because sometimes you can wear the rejection of an endorsement as a badge of honor.
That's right.
But if you don't fill it out, then you've got you can't say, well, I didn't get the endorsement. They rejected my ideas because they don't know your ideas. Fill out.
No, Libby Screen, I think she's policy director. Libby Screen basically said, she sent them both a questionnaire. She said this a few weeks ago, and Jason never sent his back in. Sailor sent it in. She's been reviewing it. They're trying to be fair. But how do you if you don't fill out the questionnaire? I mean,
when you said that he got an endorsement, and
no, they did endorse him.
No, I know. I thought you were going to say that his former boss, Barack Obama, endorsed him.
It's funny. I'm surprised that Barack Obama hasn't been to South Dakota to help.
He wouldn't help.
But the funny part about it is Barack wouldn't be at a $5,000
I would say
$500.
I would say President Obama do come to South Dakota and help out. Help out, President Obama. Come to South Dakota. You'd be welcomed by the Republican
So I'm wondering
Party
when Nome's going to give the taxpayers of Sioux Falls their $29,000 back for a private fundraiser that we helped secure. For $29,000.
Well, you got to talk to the city of Sioux Falls on that. When they're going to bill.
And I loved Pat Powers. He said that it was these women that are getting together, a bunch of Sioux Falls Democratic. Well, there's a lot of Republicans actually. I think there's a couple of Republicans in the group getting together. Kathy Pearsall and.
Oh, is this the Power Women?
Yeah, the Power Women, and he said it's a elitist event, and it's like paying $5,000 to get your picture taken with the president. That is what we call an elitist event.
I saw...
Or even $500 to see the president.
My God, so you're not even wearing a monocle here.
I saw Pat's post on that as well, and I thought
he was being funny at first, and then I read the whole thing, and I'm like he's serious. He's deadly serious.
I mean, it's the old trope that the Republicans are the Plaid Pan Country Club elitists, which is not true. I mean, they're not. But, you can't...
You're not. That's one.
You can't...
And your wife. That's two. And your kids are not old enough to register to vote yet, so we're going to leave them out of it.
But they may be old enough to give contributions in mayoral election.
Yeah, that's true. As long as you're,
Anyway, I thought that post was odd.
He has like 115 comments. People were attacking him like crazy.
Also, you don't put up the opposition's fundraising announcement because you know that more people are just going to see it and perhaps go.
Right.
Just throw it away. Throw it away.
Yeah.
Delete.
Yeah.
Delete.
So, we
So
didn't
Republican-
really,
we're-
didn't accomplish much.
No, we did. Here is and Robert, you can maybe put this at the beginning. If you don't want to listen to the entire episode, the analysis is Republican clean sweep, Democrats hold on to their minority.
That's not exactly what I said during the podcast, but
They grow their minority by 1.
I said 2 to 3. 2 to
Realistically,
3. They're going to get
it may
2 to
be
3
what?
extra seats. That's all I'm going to say on that. Thank you.
Happy voting.
Happy voting, yeah.
Yeah.
What you got? No, Robert, if you got something to add.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Who's the guy in the corner over there?
I think you're right, but God, I wish Billy Sutton would win. If the only reason I want him to win, I don't even know his policies on anything. The Republicans in the state need a wake up, kick in the pants, something to put the fear of God in them, so bad.
I know,
because they already fear God pretty much a lot, and they'll tell you too.
Yeah, that's true.
And they don't like,
but
they don't like black people buying
so
cakes.
Out of control. They're getting to that kind of like Mickelson with this whole,
and that's not true.
With Initiated Measure 25 and a bunch of the other, the way I've seen him treat people at events and stuff like that is just I feel like the decadence of the establishment in the state is just way too they feel way too safe.
I think Billy Sutton said it best than when I interviewed him at the Democratic convention. There's three Republican parties right now in Pierre.
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah, no,
I agree with him on that.
That's what happens when you have a super party.
And he's the fourth, and Billy's part of the fourth Republican Party, Republican light.
I would agree with Sutton's analysis on there. I mean, I don't know if I would call it 3. I would say the Republican Party is split into 2 parties, and it's hard math.
Maybe that's what he meant. I kind of.
Well, he maybe means that
South Dakota has 3 parties.
South Dakota's got 3 parties.
Yeah.
The Democrats, the Republicans,
and the Republicans,
and then the right-wing Republicans, the extreme
states,
right Republicans who if you're not a Republican in my own very narrow brand of Republican, you're not a Republican. I'm not going to work with you at all, and I'd rather work with the Democrats than you, and that's not helpful.
They do work with the Democrats. They convince them to vote with them.
I know, but
that's how they work with the Democrats.
But it increases this whole. Everybody's getting partisan and using their party identifiers or super identifier, which is wrong. But I agree with you. I do think that Republicans, if they're not careful in the state, are going to end up having their own Trump effect, where voters are going to say, you know what, we've had enough of the status quo. You're not listening to us, and we're going to shake things up, even if it's for a term. We're going to shake it up.
The warning of history. I some history professors that I respect very much who've studied South Dakota's political history are
John Locke.
South Dakotans are not conservative; they are populist, and if you don't give a little bit to that populist trend, they will eat you.
Yes, there is very much a populist streak that runs through all of us, even those who transplant here catch it too.
Yeah.
And happy voting, kids! Early voting has started. I always highly suggest to early vote. It's very convenient. It's fast.
It's very convenient to lose those ballots in the back of a car. No.
Yeah. Well,
Minnesota.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're missing or not when you're hand tabulating. Wink, wink, wink.
This is true. Why didn't I think of that? Someone shake the Etch-a-Sketch that we're keeping about it.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
That one was 8? Okay. Next.
Check out our new state-of-the-art voting machine. Sir, I think that's a light bright.
It's a tablet.
Thank you.
Happy
voting.
A production of the SiouxEmpire.com.